Alright, I had no idea what the All-Star Game format was because they've been changing it damn near every year, but this one actually made it competitive, so I can see it sticking for a while. And I think a lot of that stemmed from the quarters being turned into games. The 12 minutes creates a sense of urgency because instead of getting maybe 3 to 5 minutes of intensity at the end of the fourth, depending on how tight the game was, those last 3 minutes of the first 3 games provided at least 9 minutes of intensity. And I think the World vs. America format also somewhat contributed to the competitiveness. I could see the league running that back just because of the amount of injuries this year, but I still think the 4-quarter format made the biggest difference, and the players that wanted to show up were still going to show up regardless, especially Wemby, so I don't think he would have cared what team he was playing for. He was the tone setter on the night because his effort trickled down to the rest of them, and it was on both ends, so that forced everyone else to raise their effort. Ant was definitely responsive to that offensively, and I thought Cade was responsive to that defensively, because on a night where players are usually giving up straight line drives or easy runouts to the rim, he had a lot of blocks, so those two deserve credit for their play. But most of them did, because there was a lot more pressing, better raw containment, help on the back or weak side, hard closeouts, and even clean switches. So there were a lot of positive uncharacteristic aspects on defense that I haven't seen in some years. There were even just as many on offense, because I saw a lot more plays being ran in the half court, so not everything was a run out. And the only negative uncharacteristic aspects were the smoke bunnies or terrible lobs being thrown, but other than all of those, there were still some characteristic aspects on offense that are accustomed in the All-Star game. The obvious one were the quick pulls in transition, but at least they weren't as prevalent, and even when they were at times, they made sense, especially for Kawhi, because he was on a ridiculous heater in the third game, so there was no reason for him not to shoot as soon as he crossed the 47. I don't even know how he got going that quick, because his first 2 makes weren't clean at all, so maybe it was just the comfort of having Karl assigned to him initially, and by the time Pascal or Wemby was his assignment, it was just a little too late. It really didn't matter who was in front of him, because he could just get a switch to hunt a matchup he wanted, so that's why Braun brought Karl for him on his dagger, and fortunately, he capitalized on that mismatch. But unfortunately for Wemby, he couldn't match Kawhi's dagger on the other end, because Braun was playing free safety on Karl, so Karl got open on a flare, and when Kawhi overreacted, that was what created his open look. At least K had Kawhi covered on the weak side, so K was able to get a late contest on him, and that wasn't the only unfortunate ending for him, because in the first game, the World gave up 2 trades they probably didn't have to. On the first, Maul decided to flood for some reason, so Ant just got to fill the weak corner wide open, and all Scotty had to do was pin in Karl for Ant on the lift, because that created the late closeout for Ant to tie the game. Then on the second, Wemby was showing off ball screens, and for some reason, Karl decided to tag Duren when Denny was the low man, so on the roll, all Duren had to do was hit Barnes or Ant, because there was going to be a late closeout on either one of them. But I don't even think it was really that bad of a rotation by Karl, because he couldn't see Denny in his peripheral, so he reacted in the moment, and if I'm the World, I'd rather see Duren hit Barnes than Ant in that situation anyway. I just felt bad for Wemby having to lose that way, and I also felt bad for the Stars, because as the old team, they had to play 3 straight games just to win the chip, including back-to-back close ones, so by the time the third one came around, they were too gassed to put up a fight. If anything, they were fortunate to have even won their first game, because on the final possession, Ant and Shet were loading up strong for some reason, and that caused Cade to ball watch up top, so Don just got to slip behind him, and once Book had to tag that, he was not in a position to X and overreacted for Fox to burn him on the flyby. But at least the Stripes got their get back in the championship game, because it was obvious the Stars had no legs left, so they just had to use their youth to force the Stars into settling for jumpers, then constantly push the rock off those stops for quick runouts, and they just compounded those sequences on their way to the chip. Just watch the tape.
This is what he's added. Now 3 points. stroke has been
just
so smooth.
running these OGs off the court.